My morning routine is very specific and it has to happen. I have chronic nerve pain issues from stenosis, neck injuries from my self-defense martial arts combatives. As an athlete, a lifelong athlete, I started cramping, insane. I couldn't run, my fingertips would go numb. But this is basically parts of my morning routine and it's not negotiable. I can't, if I miss this because of something, I feel it during the day, so.
My body just now, so I can feel the shift of like some of the pre-event anxiety,
where if I pronate hard on my left foot, my calf will cramp. There's literally a part of me that f***ing hates that I have to do this. Old Tony would just do a full push-up. Now I do these like little baby things. Like this old vintage car where I've got all these like master mechanics working on me. The number one fear in the world for a lot of people is public speaking. So, they see me up on stage, they see me talking about fear up on stage, and there's this like unconscious assumption that I have no fear. I've got butterflies in my stomach right now, and I've been doing this for decades, literally decades. The nervousness I have is because I want it to be better than the last course I did. I want them all to, if they had to be a courageous bystander or protect themselves or were faced with this insane amount of fear, that they would go, okay, fear, and that's an acronym. Face it, understand it, control it, know it. Holy indeed.
You gotta go, huh?
We gotta go. Right now I'm thinking about oatmeal and coffee.
Tony's the best. I mean, he's the best in the world at what he does, and not only that, but he's so engaging, he's so captivating, he tells great stories, he's hilarious.
This is the legend Jay Ferrugia, a good friend of mine, and if not one of the best coaches in the world. So Jay also helps you with my girlish figure.
Sneaking in some bacon?
No.
No. Do you approve of that, Coach?
Not so much, but
I've done these events for like 30 years. I still get butterflies before I go in here, so here we go. Because you've all heard left the bank, head on a swivel, look for anomalies, right? Everyone's heard that type of language. But nobody ever explains, what do you do when you go, holy shit? So I work with the highest level of military, all the way down through federal, state, local law enforcement. I've worked with massive companies. I've worked with pro fighters like Frank Mir. I've worked with Uriah Faber, Stallone. What are the skills to be a courageous bystander? Situational awareness, fear spike, fear management. You can't be brave if you're not afraid. The primary ingredient of courage is fear.
There's so much good stuff. His passion for things definitely it rubs off on you.
You said you have to learn to accept the bad things that are happening so you can react.
Yeah.
And that was a pearl in my life.
Thank you.
A lot of people ask me how this all started and how is it or why is it that I created almost a completely different way to look at violence, to look at it through what does the attacker want? How does that affect our physiology and our psychology? I was working for $4.25 an hour at my father's office. I was a shipper. And I always wanted to teach self-defense, but I didn't have any students, so it was just like a dream. So I'm sweeping and I become friends with Bobby the shipper. Bobby lives in a rough area of town and he's like a street fighter. So we start training. One day I stop my little workout, I turn around, there's this guy Joey, his 15-year-old is having a bully issue at school. And he says to me, I want you to teach him. A month in, not even a month in, maybe a couple weeks in, Steve, the brother, goes, how come Mitch gets private lessons? So now I got 2 students. Within a month, I had about 30 private students. I trained Mitchell for 3 months for this altercation. He sucker punched me with a left hook and dropped me. I was holding his shirt with my left hand, and I'm like, yeah? And I had my school books in my right hand. And in that moment, and I've told the story 100, maybe 1,000 times, the god of self-defense hit me with a lightning bolt, and I said, oh my God, we teach self-defense wrong. Him getting hit me harder and changed the future of self-defense in many ways. From that day forward, every single thing we did was, what's the scenario? And then we'd back up. Okay, what happened before that? What happened before that? And what that helped people do is stress inoculate and improve their mind speed for avoidance or de-escalation.
The primary muscle, who here likes to run? You can leave now. Get the out of here, right? When you have better self-awareness, what you immediately have is greater access to the external world that's feeding you information.
I got your, like 10 of your DVDs, the first one that came out.
For these we don't even, this is the DVD. This is the DVD, you ever hear of that?
Mr. Tony Blauer signed one of the old first DVDs for my son. We follow Tony Spear system online, and we've been following his system.
Yell now when Dave's in danger. Okay, that got pretty close. Now, watch me one more time. Watch my breathing, watch my pec, watch my hand. Probably 5 or 6 times faster.
The thing about our drills is you only need to do 1 rep to go, oh my God. Like when you start including physiology and kinesiology, you get strong right away, so it's really empowering.
My voice is raw. It's like for me, it's going great. It's only and always about like wanting every single person to get the most out of that. And you can't, but I look at each person, I go like, I want them safer. So, it's just putting that, I just put an insane amount of pressure on myself and my team.
Yeah, so I came from Hong Kong is because I've been practicing the garage gym for a few months. I think it's worth my investment and my time to really see and meet Coach Blauer.
I'm Andy from England. I've travelled all the way over for 4 days training with Coach. The greatest things for me is when Coach talks and the depth that I then get to hear.
Back in Montreal, I was talking on a whiteboard, and one of my students said something about, I'm writing on the board, no fear. I said, there's no such thing as no fear. And the only way you can learn to manage fear is by experiencing fear. It's called stress inoculation, adaptation. And then one of my students said, so that's kind of like getting to know fear. And it was like, oh shit. And I wrote the K and the W on the whiteboard, and I went, holy shit. No fear or no fear. Because if I get to know fear, I can then manage the fear. I get to, through training, through reps, through replication, through scenarios.
I love what Coach said. You have to have a lot of tools, and you can't just be a one system person, so I'm excited.
One of my favorite things with the group, and they're like, there's a lot of pressure to run this and a lot going on, so it's a chance for them to just chill out, eat. If I had really something up in a presentation, I'd hear about it.
No, there's a lot of feedback coming his way. But I gotta come in waves and whatnot, so he's having fun right now, but I'll send him an email shortly.
Guys, I want you to do one more version.
We were serious about it. Our weapon broke. Sorry.
And we want them to be what we call realistic, relevant, and now rigorous.
Everyone's gotta go. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Hands on me. I said, come on.
Knock him over.
He does the punch again. Hand moves, I can move here. Look at all these things I can do.
What I realized was I was a really scared kid, worrying about whether I'd be successful, whether I'd be a good dad, whether I could protect myself. And so I was afraid of fear, and I was afraid of violence. And so what I did is I said, I got to study fear and I got to study violence. And I'm never afraid to tell people, hey, if you didn't fear fear, what would you do? If you want to be an entrepreneur or you want to be an athlete and do this, and something's holding you back, it's always psychological fear. And I shouldn't say always, but it's always psychological fear.
You know, he's not looking at that seatbelt. Relax. That's a elbow strike.
There's a difference between the psychology of fear and the physiology. How you feel is less important than what you're thinking, because the mind navigates the body. What I'm going to do as a skier, as a fighter, as a gymnast, as a fitness athlete, whatever it is, there's no such thing as muscle memory in the way people like to believe. There's no muscle memory. You have motor engrams, you've got neural patterns, you've got a myelinated neuron, you've got all these other systems at work. The most important thing you can do as a coach or as an athlete or as a duo is understand self-awareness leads to critical thinking. Studying fear, the psychology of fear, improves your self-awareness. I've been doing combat sports my whole life, but I also grew up in an era there were no lacrosse balls, there were no, resistance bands, no foam roller, what's that? As a dynamic athlete, I mean, I was like teaching 7 days a week, sparring, running, sprinting, fighting. But then I had a couple of really bad injuries, some neck injuries that really affected my facial nerve and stuff. And then I started getting cramps like every night. Foot cramp, calf cramp, leg cramp, because now it was cascading in my body. So I got afraid to do moves. I discovered by accident online a SaltWrap product called Mag R&R. And it was like a magnesium but a whole bunch of other magical shit in it. And I started doing it and my cramps started to subside. And I had questions about it. I remember emailing the company and Scott, the owner, answered me. And we talked, and then he sent me some protein, he sent me this book, and it's like the title just resonated with me. I was like, yeah, built from broken. But it was just this idea of like, how do you rebuild yourself? That Mag R&R product saved my life, because I was not, you guys know how important sleep is. I would wake up literally 4 or 5 times a night. I do a lot of things that I wish I'd started doing a lot earlier. So that's the lesson, right? That's the lesson. You know, you take care of your body. It's the only one you have. Whatever you believe in, life after death, nothing, you just die, whatever it is. Right now, this is you, and you better take care of yourself.
So, like, how was it? I loved it, but don't ask me. You know, that's like, I'm just talking. Ask them. You know, it's really, is it making an impact on them? Is it making them think? Is it inspiring them to, take more responsibility for how they relate to fear or how they learn to protect themselves? So